All right, time for a Buckeye breakdown with the great Bobby Carpenter. You hear him daily, Morning Juice, on YouTube, on all of them. Give us all.
We got YouTube, all the social media streams live from 6 to 8, also on the FM3. Then from 10 to noon, it is on 10 TV Plus, and then you can hear us replayed again on the 1460 the AM from 1 to 3.
All right, let's talk about this game. A noon kick in Ohio Stadium. And there's intrigue, Bob. First of all, Jim Knowles was Ohio State's defensive coordinator a year ago. He is now the defensive coordinator at Penn State. You wonder if he's second-guessing himself on that move because they've lost 4 in a row. To me, from the outside looking in, looks like there could be some hard feelings between maybe Ohio State and the way he left. You heard the comments Ryan Day said at the news conference. He said you try not to think about what happened and the way it went down, but we're only human.
Yeah, I think understanding that the human aspect of it, the human element is really big. Jim Knowles came here. Obviously, there's a 3-year stretch. They had a nice turnaround. The defense continued to improve and get better and better to one of the best defenses in the country last year. And a lot of that is attributed to Jim Knowles and his ability to coach. But also you do have great players at Ohio State. And so that's another piece that comes in with this. But, you know, to my knowledge, I don't think, Dom, that there's ever been a coach that has really made a lateral move on their own volition leaving Ohio State. And so usually when you come here, it's a destination. And obviously not being at the celebration for the national championship game and then the news of going to Penn State and some of the hangups of the contract negotiations, I think there is a little bit of personal element that's going to permeate in there, not just with Ryan, probably with the players as well, because he didn't just leave Ryan Day and the Ohio State coaching staff, he left that defense as well.
And obviously, that is motivation for Ohio State, you would think. You would think Jim Knowles and Penn State's going to come in here fired up because they've lost 4 in a row. This is their chance to knock off the defending national champion, the #1 ranked team in the country. And Ryan Day said something very interesting at his news conference. He said, in my opinion, this is still a top 5, top 10 team talent-wise. Now, obviously the record, and they're not, but talent-wise, he says that's what he sees when he looks at them. He said they've got a number of NFL players on that team.
Absolutely. Really, the guys that started the season, most of those guys are still playing. I mean, Drew Aller, obviously, their quarterback, he's out. Ethan Drunkenmeyer from Olentangy is in. They lost Rojas, one of their middle linebackers, who was really good. But outside of that, the running backs, Allen, Singleton, those guys are still there. The offensive line, the defensive line, like a lot of the players are still in. Those pieces are still there. And so Ryan, looking at that, understands that, yeah, they've lost 4 in a row. By the way, those games have all been really close. It wasn't like they've been getting blown out. They lost a tough one, obviously, against Iowa last week. And, it felt like maybe they were trying to get over the hump and get it going. But they're going to come in here. This is a season-defining opportunity for them. Those seniors that all came back that wanted to try to win a national championship kicked the door in. This is the last time Penn State and Ohio State will be playing consistently as they played every year since they entered the Big Ten back in '93. So there's a lot on the line. There will be some big stakes. And if you're a Penn State player, you win this game, this is something you can hang on to and remember for the entirety of this season.
And remember, Bob, both these teams are coming off bye weeks. Ohio State's going to have 2 weeks to get ready for this game. But under a new coaching staff, with a new quarterback, as you mentioned, an Olentangy kid, and Drunkenmeyer, they're going to have time. And, Ryan Day says, I don't know what they're going to do because they'll have 2 weeks to get ready. He knows they're going to do some different things, beginning with the quarterback and everything. But Jim Knowles has a real good knowledge of the way things work here. Obviously, Ohio State and Ryan Day, they have a real good idea of what he's all about defensively. Is there an advantage, though? Does Penn State have had an advantage having a guy that was so close to the program a year ago?
I think there is some advantage. They're more so than anyone else you're going to be, because not only is Jim Knowles, maybe have some more familiarity with this Ohio State offense, having gone against it every day in practice, but then also the knowledge of the players and some of their strengths and maybe what they were. Now, was Arvell Reese the player that he was last year? No, he's improved a lot. They've done a lot of different things on defense, but he can obviously talk to their offensive staff and say this is what these guys are good at. But you can really glean a lot of that from the film now, Dom, as well. So that's another piece of it. But I do think that there is some little advantage that Jim will have, but I don't know if that'll come into play given just how tenacious this Ohio State defense is and how explosive this offense can be.
I know you're a young kid. You look like you could still be playing, but you're also an old soul. You believe a lot of the old sayings. You know, November's when championships are won. And this is a November like we've not seen. They're going to play 5 games in the month of November, starting with Penn State. It will end with Michigan. But, you know, there's booby traps out there. Ohio State will be favored in every game. But, Bob, if you look at the landscape, and I call it the chaos of college football, just ask Miami. Just ask Penn State, the way their season's going. Just when you think you've arrived, you get knocked off. And Ohio State really, in my opinion, has not been tested this year.
I think Ryan had a line to the point where, hey, just when you think you've got it, that's when they get you. Like, that's when you get got. And so they've been locked in on this. They understand the gravity of this game. They understand what November's about. And, you know, my former coach, now the Lieutenant Governor, Jim Tressel, he would always tell us, Don, November is for contenders. And you want to be playing your best football in the state of Ohio when the leaves start to turn and right after Halloween and all of those things, because that's when you need to make that strong run. You need to be playing your best. And we watched this team do that last season through the playoff. I think Ryan wants to get a jump start and probably start leaning in to get this team greased up as possible.
You know, the other thing, and we hear a lot from, well, some of them claim they're experts. I don't know how expert they are, but you know, Ryan Day's been very smart on how he has managed this football team. But I do have a feeling with 5 games to go in the regular season, we might see some wrinkles. We might see him turn some things up. I personally have not been as disappointed as some with the running game. I think they have the weapons there. I've been impressed with the offensive line. But, you know, November's here, and I think we're going to see some different things.
I think we will. That running back room is still evolving. That's something I think over the bye week they were probably looking at, trying to figure out what was going to be the best rotation moving forward. We've seen the emergence of West. How does he kind of play into all of this? So trying to figure that out, that's something that Carlos Loughlin, Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, they're probably trying to figure out that best fit, what that rotation looks like, what guys give them the best chance to win. You'll start to lean in on those players a little bit. One of the other things we haven't really seen from them is tempo, and I wouldn't surprise me if they go a little bit faster tempo at points in this Penn State game just to start to work to develop it a little bit. They've been very slow and methodical, but that's been by design. In this elongated season, you want to try to take plays off of your players, and Ryan Day is trying to do that to preserve this roster.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that because that is something I think that the fans have overlooked and some of the experts have overlooked. Ryan Day could write a book on how to manage a football team in the new modern 12-game playoff system. And, you know, they learned a lot last year, and it's all about wear and tear. They don't, as he told me one day, we don't have reserves waiting like the NFL does. There's no waiver wire where we can go pick someone up. We have who we have, and it is a long season. If you think about it, they've got 5 games to go here in November, and then depending on how things go, they could be looking at 6 more after that.
Absolutely. A lot of games to be played, and so I know, Ryan, they've looked at this as play counts, and if you can take 10 plays off a game, 5 plays off of a game, you start adding that up over the course of 12 games, and you split it between offense and defense, you're talking about maybe taking a whole game of plays off of your players. And so when you want to be healthy at the end of the year, you want to have your horses ready to run. That is very critical to be able to do. And I know people get frustrated. Why don't they do this? Why don't we play faster, try to score more points? The more you do, the more you expose your defense. They're on the field more, the more it can tax your offense. And so you want to make sure those guys are healthy. And knock on wood, Don, this team has been pretty healthy this year. And I think that's a function of Mickey Marotti, that training staff, and how Ryan Day and that team chooses to play.
All right, Bob, take a look at it. Buckeyes, Nittany Lions, in the horseshoe, noon kick. Urban Meyer's going to ring the victory bell before the game. Your keys and who wins and why?
I think Ohio State obviously is going to be able to take care of this. The keys, it's going to be stopping that run with Allen and Singleton. Can the defense do that? Julian Sayin continuing to be the guy that he has been, Captain Cool out there. And then probably that last piece is this Ohio State run game. Can they get it going? We remember last year, Dom, they ran the ball off of their goal line and ran the clock out to end the game in Happy Valley after a rough start. Can they get that running game going? Can they get it established like that? I like Ohio State, let's say 35-6 in this game. I think they'll take care of business. It'll probably feel closer earlier on, but it's going to be an emotional day. As also, Don, they're having the moment of silence for Nick Mangold and Bob Maggs, who both passed away. And so there's going to be a lot of won't be a dry eye in the house, if you will, I think, to start that game.
Yeah, and let me just say this. Those are two legends. I love both those guys. And, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to both those guys and their wonderful families. Bobby Maggs and Nick Mangold. I'll tell you what, Bob, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
It's a tough one. And Nick was a good friend of mine. And it's been an emotional week. It's been a long week, and it's going to continue to be so heading into this weekend. And funerals on Tuesday out in New Jersey, and so a lot of our friends and teammates will be, and former coaches will be congregating there in New Jersey for that to lay our friend to rest.
All right. He's the one and only Bobby Carpenter. Check him out daily, Morning Juice. Keep it on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan.